Welcome back, recruits. I'm Chris Nance with the Northern California Ghostbusters, and today we are going to be showing you how to replace the stock heatsink on the side of the cyclotron block for the Haslab with the Redman Studios Workshop heatsink replacement. Let's get going. So first thing you're going to do is, of course, take your Proton pack apart. If you need a guide on how to do that, we have a video on how to take the Haslab apart. Link will be for it in the description below. Once you have access to the inside, now first of all, if you're using a completely stock Haslab, obviously the interior of your pack is going to look a lot different from this. Don't worry too much about the difference in electronics unless you're using a GP Star kit, in which case you're going to be doing the same thing we are. So first of all, sound amplifier for the GP Star kit is right here on this wall, and it's right about where the heatsink actually attaches at. So we've got to detach this. Now, thankfully, we used Velcro when we attached it to begin with. We're gonna actually have to remove one of our Velcro strips here though. So the heatsink, the stock heatsink that comes with the Haslab attaches with a single screw and then these three press-in tabs. Now, first of all, you're gonna have to take that screw out, but it's at an extremely awkward spot, which makes it kind of tough. From the inside, as you may have noticed when I was pointing it out, it's very, very tight space behind that single screw. And in order to get at a single screw, I'm gonna take the whole cake pan out to give myself enough room to get a tool in there to actually take that screw out. Otherwise, it's just too tight for any tools that I have.
You have to be careful because there's a lot of cables in.
Yep. Yeah, see, I really needed to take the cake pan out, actually, honestly, because with the screw taken off, the only thing that's holding the fake heatsink on there right now are these three press tabs. You can see them kind of wiggling around now. Now, these are actually really easy with the cake pan out of the way. You literally just come in on the inside of the shell and press them past their lips one at a time. And then once they are there, voila, it's off. So yeah, Danny's is on the left, there's the stock one on the right, and yeah, you can see there's a sizing difference, just the detailing even really, like it's just a much nicer option than the stock thing. We're gonna Dremel a thing. This little nub right here is making the seating difficult for our replacement part, so we're gonna take a Dremel with a flat grinding burr, and I'm gonna flatten it down. So there are the holes for the pressure fit tabs for the stock heatsink. And I'm using one of those to run my screw through, and then I'm using a 440 nut on the inside to just pin this whole thing in place. Because right now, this hole doesn't align with this hole if I just use the pressure fit tab things. So I'm gonna have to put a hole there, which I can, but I want to make it kind of nice and precise. I want it pinned in place while I do that. So I'm gonna have it pinned in place. We also Dremeled that peg off to make it nice and flat there. And then we're gonna drill a hole very carefully through here. A 1/8 would work, because it's within a step of a 1/8 bit. Or should work anyways, I don't know.
So same thing on this side, you're going to be putting a nut on the bottom, and then that's going to be basically hold it in place.
Yep, exactly. I just have a 440 nut on the inside there, and I'm battening it down with the Allen key while holding the nut in place with my forefinger. There's no weight to this, not really. So you're safe without any kind of washer or fancy lock nut or anything like that. If it was moving, if it had any kind of wiggle or movement to it, I would worry about putting like a nylon lock nut on there. But given that it's such a lightweight piece, like you're fine with just a regular nut.
Last one.
Yeah. Voila. Us in California are experiencing a fun little heat wave, so I have ditched the engineer uniform for jeans and a t-shirt. That said, that is how you are going to install the Redman Studio Workshop heatsink. Yep, shout out to Danny. We paid for this ourselves, or Greg bought this out of pocket himself, about $40. Link for the product will be in the description below. So if you're interested in replacing the heatsink on your Haslab, definitely check it out. He's got a pretty good little option there. Until next time, recruits, I'm Chris Nance with the Northern California Ghostbusters, and we'll see you later.
I think they're more interested in my epididymis.